It's great for you to know what your boundaries are. It's great for you to know what these rules are in your own life. But if other people don't know about it, they're kind of useless, right? So now we're going to talk about how to train others, those around you, your family members, your coworkers, your managers, whoever it might be. It's time to train the others. Boundaries are only as good as your ability to communicate them. Now, saying no can be a very powerful tool and resource, but I want to stress that this isn't about being a jackass, right? It's not as if you have a coworker that comes to you and says, oh, I could really use your help, and you just go, nah, right? You don't want to have that kind of that rude, that putting down approach, right? You don't want to make other people feel bad. That's not what we're talking about. So it's not just simply looking at, say, your boss, your manager, your coworkers in the eye and just saying no, right? That's not what we're going after here. That will probably get you in a lot of trouble inside of your organization and get people to hate you. So I'm a fan of the show Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David. And Larry David acts in a way that is just atrocious in that show, right? His character, the things that he does. If you haven't seen it, watch some of the clips on YouTube. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But you don't want to be the Larry David inside of your organization. You don't want to be that kind of, nah, I'm just not interested, or nah, I don't want to do it, right? You don't want to come off like that. Don't be the Larry David of your company. So part of having these boundaries and being able to communicate them in a clear way also comes down to this concept of empathy. Remember, empathy is being able to take somebody else's perspective and put yourself in their shoes. So that when people come to you with a request, so that you're able to transport yourself and understand where that request is coming from. Is your manager really stressed out? Are they worried about their job themselves, and that's why they're offloading all this extra work onto you? The same thing might be for one of your peers or coworkers. So try to understand where other people are coming from, put yourself in their shoes, and that will help frame how you should be responding when you actually say no. Now, you want to be clear, you want to be direct, but of course you don't want to be rude, right? You don't want to be the Larry David. So for me, I found it very helpful to provide context around why I'm saying no, and to also remember that what I'm saying no to is the request, not the person. So you're saying no to the request, you're not saying no to the individual. Here are two things that I find I say very frequently. So when it comes to the pick your brain meetings, let's grab a coffee, I want to show you my product, stuff like that, I say, I'm sorry, I'm not taking any meetings for the time being. Best of luck with your book, best of luck with your project. I'll be rooting for you from the sidelines. That's it. And people typically respond and they say, oh, I understand, thank you, appreciate the support. And that's it, and those requests don't come through again. For speaking engagements or for projects where I don't think that it's going to go well, I typically make it sound like it's an issue with me. And I say, I'm sorry, I'm not a good fit for your project. I wish you the best of luck. Right? So I find a way to say no. It's very firm, it's very direct, it's very clear, but it's also done in a kind of nice and positive way so that the other person doesn't feel offended, so I don't feel like I'm putting them down or hurting their feelings in any way. Inside of your organizations, you can try the following. Let's say, for example, you're working on several projects or tasks, and your manager comes forward and he wants you to do something else. He's adding another project, another task onto your plate, and it's already starting to be too much. You feel like you can't handle it. Instead of just saying no or I can't, one of the things that you can say is, can you help me prioritize all the different projects and tasks that I currently have on my plate so that I know which ones I should be working on first and which ones I can be doing later? That will all of a sudden put the accountability on your manager to help you understand where you should be putting your time and attention. And it will also let your manager know how much work you actually have going on. Oftentimes, they might not realize the projects that you're working on. And so asking them to help you prioritize is going to give them that level of transparency into what you're doing and how much time it actually takes. Another question that you can ask your peers or your manager is to say, can we go over how much time I'm currently spending on my projects now? And that will put that kind of frame of reference into your manager's mind of, okay, well, this person is already spending 40 hours of work. Maybe I shouldn't be giving them any more. So those are two ways that you can start to put a little bit of that accountability onto your managers, onto your peers, your coworkers, so that they are starting to get a sense of where those boundaries might start to lie. Of course, whenever possible, it's great to try to come up with a potential solution. So if you get asked to do something, you can say, not something that I can do, however, this person might be able to help you, or perhaps we can delegate some of this to this person. Or perhaps I can finish the current projects that I have on my to-do list and then I can get to yours. So there are kind of tactful ways that you can start to say no without simply just saying, no, not gonna do it. So whenever possible, try to come up with that solution. Let's say you get asked to come into a 6 a.m. meeting. One of the things that you might be able to say is, I'm sorry, I don't do 6 a.m. meetings because that's reserved for family time. Is it possible for us to schedule something anytime between 8 and 5? Right? That's a huge window. You say no, you put up that boundary, and you also offer a solution that you're willing to do at any time between 8 and 5 o'clock. The same thing for being asked to work late. You can use that same kind of response there too. Another technique that you can try to communicate the boundaries that you have is to simply have an open and transparent and honest conversation with your manager. Let them know that you have a lot going on. Let them know that you feel stressed out. Let them know that you're going to work on being more productive and effective, and you're going to work on communication. And as a part of what you're working on, you are going to be practicing saying no. And communicate that to your manager, have that open dialogue, and your manager should be very open and receptive to that and say, you know what, I respect that. And if you feel like things are getting a little out of hand, you should say no. So if you can have that open dialogue with your manager at the very beginning and let them know that this is kind of the new approach that you're going to be taking for work. And of course, you can also ask the manager, your peers, whoever, for recommendations on how you might be able to better structure and allocate your time. Sometimes inside of our organizations, we seem to have or know people that just have things figured out. They're really good at setting those boundaries. They're very good at allocating that time. We can ask them for help. We can ask them for suggestions and feedback for how we might be able to implement some of those things too. I don't want to make it sound like whether you are an entrepreneur or a manager or an executive, or whether you're an entry-level employee, it's not meant to be you against the manager, you against the organization. You got to come at it from this kind of team mentality. So letting people in to what you're currently struggling with and what you're facing and how you're trying to come up with potential solutions isn't necessarily a bad thing for you to do. Thanks for watching, and if you want more content just like this, please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, my wife and I have a brand new podcast where we talk about entrepreneurship and how you can become your own boss. If you want to learn what you need to do, you can check us out at byobpodcast.com. That's BYOB, Be Your Own Boss, podcast.com.